The first category of the Transformational Leadership Framework is learning and teaching, which focuses on instructional strategies and practices to improve the overall quality of instruction so that all students are on track to attend college. The 4 levers of the learning and teaching category are designed to help principals understand the current state of their schools in the vital areas of curriculum and instructional planning, instructional strategies, data, and student support, while also providing the key actions necessary to make sustained improvement in student achievement.
One of the first steps that we took upon entering the school was identifying certain areas that we felt I would need to first address to be able to move the school forward from being a good school to becoming a great school. And some of the areas included increasing the rigor of instruction. The school had DDI operating at a fairly high level, but we wanted to actually make it more owned and more authentic and have the teachers lead the DDI process.
A little bit of both. It will take a little bit more work to figure out who those kids are, but I think it'll be a bit more accurate in terms of supporting the growth and supporting the growth mindset of the students, but also supporting the end of year goal for the school and for the students, which is at 1.5.
The first lever asks leaders and their teams to ensure the curriculum is aligned to both state and college readiness standards. They ask, will our students know and be able to do all of the things expected at this grade level or in this content area? How will we know? Do we need to modify or supplement our curriculum to make sure that we address all of the skills that are in the college ready standards? Using either district or school-created curriculum, teams develop alignment across grade levels so that students' learning is scaffolded. They also develop common definitions of rigor that are well known throughout the building, and they support teachers in effectively planning units and lessons that are aligned to the standards. Diagnosing these learning and teaching needs is often the first step in transforming a school. At Powell Bilingual Elementary School, led by DC Public Schools 2014 Principal of the Year, Janice Dokal, all staff is required to attend a Curriculum Development Institute prior to the beginning of each unit of study.
The Curriculum Development Institute came out from the need of trying to set a definition of what does rigor look like, and also deciding what students, once they leave each grade level, articulating what they should know and be able to do. With that, we defined portfolios as our main assessment tool for Powell. Because we had a large amount of students that are English language learners, the portfolio was the best method for all students to show what they know in non-traditional ways. And it's nice now that we made that decision with the current PARCC assessments because it's project-based learning. We started when there weren't any standards, so we would unpack the DCPS standards, and then when Common Core came, we unpacked the Common Core standards. And we looked at how they articulate from preschool, 3 years of age, to our 5th grade, to our middle school, to high school, and to college, because we really want to make sure that that pipeline exists. And so the teachers spent a lot of time mapping the learning back and making sure that it flowed and was seamless.
Our Curriculum Development Institute is something that I find is very unique at Powell, and it is intended to be pre-planning that is built in to our instructional day and our instructional schedule for teachers, so that planning can happen in advance of upcoming units, upcoming windows of time. And what that entails are 2 different pieces, both an in-school retreat schedule that's guided by myself and other teacher leaders, where grade level teams start planning their instructional units together, as well as an after-school component for teachers to follow up on that work. I know that you mentioned you gave pointers to individual kids. Did you notice a big thing that a lot of kids had trouble with?
I did. Curriculum Development Institute happens in the summer. We ask the teachers to come back early so that they have time to plan. This time before the school year starts is really wonderful for the staff to get to know each other, develop norms, and then go into the curriculum development work. And then throughout the school year, we have 6 units of study. They're thematic, and then we meet 6 times during the school year to develop those projects for both literacy and mathematics.
It's an individual process. Some teachers like to start big picture with a project and then build curriculum resources in, or they like to look at resources first and work in the opposite direction.
What I think is the most important part of CBI is really getting the opportunity, that protected planning time, to plan out our unit calendar. So really looking at week by week, what are the standards going to be? What is the daily objective going to be? But also keeping that end project in mind.
Also at the Institute, student work is analyzed, and that's another way for teachers to plan ahead and make sure that all students are growing, so that it's a full circle, the cycle of continuous improvement, developing, evaluating, implementing, reflecting. But there are these steps. We're looking at what students are creating, whether it's before they create it or afterwards, and then the teachers are tuning it and develop from there. What is also very beautiful about the Curriculum Development Institute is that the teachers come together in the same room and talk about these standards, talk about these projects. They develop exemplars, they look at student work, they talk about, is that good enough? Is that rubric really going to get to what I'm wanting the students to create? And then multiple grade levels tune it. So the experts are in the room. The energy and the dynamics come from the teachers in the room.
The second lever is concerned with how students are taught. These actions ensure that high-quality classroom practices, routines, and instructional strategies are consistent and designed to meet the needs of individual students without compromising expectations.
Can you read the next slide? What number plus 3 is going to give you 9?
When you walk into my classroom, you're going to see the same project or the same objectives being worked on as if you were to walk in Miss Island's classroom down the hall. You'll also notice our unit boards are very much aligned. Our unit boards show the students what their end project is going to be at the end of the unit. It has our essential question. Our second grade team is really proud that across the classrooms, you're seeing that continuity. You're seeing the same rigorous and strong instruction across all classrooms. We're all working towards that end goal.
The teacher is going to do a brief demonstration or think aloud around the objective for the day. And then there's a type of guided instruction that goes on between teacher and student to make sure the students are processing and moving along on that objective. And then we'll turn that into collaborative work time. They're looking at a rigorous task, they're making meaning out of it, and then we come back and we summarize our ideas.
The third lever deals with how leaders and schools can drive instructional improvement by utilizing diverse and comprehensive student-level data that come from a variety of sources, including analysis of student work, formative and summative assessments, and project-based learning.
Every day at Powell, our teachers are utilizing data. They're using student work products. They're looking at everything from exit tickets to unit tests to speaking samples, what students talk about in class, to determine whether students have mastered a skill or whether some sort of remediation or next step is taken.
Our teachers get a chance to look at student work. They give each other feedback. They talk about what's working well in their classrooms, and they also talk about what's not working so well. We also look at all of our data within our grade level team meetings. We're looking at our NWEA data, our interim assessment data. We're talking about how do we go back and reteach this particular standard, and then we come back and reflect on what skill we've retaught. And then also we're looking at opportunities to provide interventions for those students that still may not have mastered those particular skills.
And the fourth lever of learning and teaching focuses on how to support students who have not yet mastered content by implementing additional tiers of intervention that not only buoy their performance, but also facilitate their ability to make sustainable progress. In California's Bay Area, Principal Sean Benjamin and the staff of Leadership Public School Richmond are also finding ways to improve their school's learning and teaching by using data to identify specific student needs for support and providing a range of interventions, especially for 9th grade students, to ensure all their students are on a path towards college and career readiness.
Our mission is to get 100% of our students to and through college, and we want to create an environment where that's possible for every student. So that makes us think about what are the barriers to that happening, whether it's academic, social, emotional, skill level, belief in students, and then we create a school culture that help students tackle those gaps in order to become college ready. We've designed a program where in ninth grade our students receive the most intervention and support, and we recognize that most of our ninth graders will come to us pretty significantly behind grade level. We assess students in math and reading in the spring of their 8th grade year in order to make 9th grade placements. So depending on their reading level and their math level. So that is where a lot of our differentiation happens in the 9th grade year, and trying to bring everyone up to grade level in that first year.
And we're gonna start out with example 1 together. I want you to take about 30 seconds and just look at each of those expressions, and you're trying to identify whether it's true or false. You're not putting anything on your paper just yet.
We pull from a number of different data sources to identify students for intervention. I regularly track student grades and GPA data. We also use MAP reading and math scores. We also rely pretty heavily on our teachers to identify students who might be struggling in their classroom. So we have a multi-tiered intervention process where we're tracking student data.
We want to make sure that our students are on the most aggressive path through high school as possible, but give them the support that they need. We just really want to make sure that we have the right placement for students.
When students sign up to apply to be a part of our school, they do take a pre-assessment or some kind of diagnostic exam at the beginning. That is used to determine like their level, grade level equivalency. And then the students who are not ready to take the math course in their grade level are then slated for academic numeracy. Academic numeracy is actually an intervention course designed to backfill the math skills that students should have coming into high school but don't. The intent was also around changing the way students view themselves as math students, so just creating some kind of confidence that has been lacking.
A ninth grader can also either be in just Algebra 1 without numeracy support, or they can be in Algebra 1 with academic numeracy, or they are in Algebra 2 because they're currently in Algebra 1 in their 8th grade year, their MAP placement score is high enough and they have a strong grade in that class. Some students out of intervention classes back into other classes like biology, if they're not already in it, or they might come out of biology and go into either a math or reading intervention class. We've really pushed self-paced learning and this idea of learning lists where students are focusing in on tasks and skills and content that is really specific for them.
As they move throughout their learning list, there's differentiation in how students learn the material and also how they are assessed. There are different ways they can demonstrate their learning. With the course designed that way, students who move at a slower pace still feel a sense of competency as they're moving because they are able to recognize their growth. Over time, with the learning list, everyone is moving at their own pace, and those kids are where they need to be because there are varying levels of rigor and they're not held back, so to speak.
In order to make sure that all of our students graduate from high school, college, and career ready, we spend a lot of time creating very specific interventions as early as possible. We believe that if we can provide as much support to a student when they enter our school, we can get them up to speed so that they're able to complete the classes that they need to be college ready by the time they graduate. We know that each student's path might be different from the next, so we continue to provide layers of intervention beyond their 9th grade year to keep just very careful track of where each student is and if they are on path to graduate as well as college ready.
As with all the work within learning and teaching, principals need to be intentional about increasing opportunities for students to participate in higher level, college-ready classes. Principal Benjamin has created a system of supports that allow all students to access rigorous coursework and a pathway for students to participate in advanced placement courses.
If a student starts off in intervention classes in the 9th grade year, they will still be on track to graduate having met those requirements. We have AP classes in our 11th and 12th grade year that are open to all students to be able to apply and take. We do want all students to take an AP class by the time they graduate because what our alumni data has said is that the students who've been in an AP class, they feel the most prepared for college, for the amount of reading, for the amount of writing, for the rigor, and we just feel like that is going to best set up all of our students to be able to make that transition.
It goes without saying that learning and teaching is at the core of any school's mission. While having a rigorous curriculum and data-driven instruction is fundamental to student achievement, it is only one part of the larger framework. In order to create an academic environment where students can succeed and thrive, the principal must also build a school culture that is grounded in values and expectations that promote a belief that all students can excel in such an environment.